accumulated after losing his job. Team Hochberg helped Billy eliminate over 50 G's of credit card debt and reduced his payments over $2,000 a month. Let's review. Before calling Team Hochberg, Billy was loaded with debt and struggled to make his monthly payments on time. After calling, Billy paid off all his credit cards, reduced his monthly payments over 2 G's a month, and eliminated an incredible amount of stress in his life. Team Hochberg has helped thousands of radio listeners pay off debt and substantially reduce their monthly payments, like we helped Billy, but we can't help if you don't call 855-56-DAVID or visit 56david.com. That number again is 855-563-2843 or visit 56david.com. Homeside Financial Equal Housing Lender, NMLS 112461.
Driving it home with Patti Vasquez, Patti Vasquez. From global conflicts to greenhouse gases, the folks refusing to wear masks says, and politicians getting caught grabbing ass says, she's driving it home with Patti Vasquez.
Hello, and thank you so much for joining us. Hope that you're happy, healthy, and safe wherever you are on this Monday, November 15th. And I'm excited to be here. I don't always like Mondays. It started off a little bit slow, especially because we started getting snow over the weekend. And I was like, oh boy, here we go. However, I was in such a great mood because I want to thank everyone who came to see our show at the Evergreen Country Club up in Elkhorn, Wisconsin. It was a wonderful show. Jerry Walski was amazing. So much fun to work with him. Brian Noonan, who I've known for years. And my friends were a little bit nervous because my friends Rolando and Rob were like, oh my God, before you came to the stage, we thought, man, those guys really were killing it. Are you going to be able to follow them? And believe me, I was feeling the same way. So I was glad that the show turned out very well. The audience was incredible, as I said. And I want to thank my friends Kevin and Bridget Montijo. Bridget and I were swim teammates in high school at Lane Tech, and Kevin and I were friends in high school as well. He was one of the football players. We did summer school, took chemistry in summer school for a variety of reasons. And Bridget and I have known each other for a long time. We both have sons who need us to fight hard all the time. I know that Bridget fights tirelessly to make sure her son has everything he needs, and she works with a lot of moms to support them and other families as well. And that's one of the reasons I got involved in state politics here in Illinois and started having these conversations. And they've grown from local conversations to, of course, state and national conversations. And I'm so thrilled for the audience that continues to support me. I can't do this without you, and I appreciate that. And if you ever want to come to any of my live shows, this is the best place to find out because I am terrible at promoting my shows. For example, I will be at Zany's tonight. I am hosting the Ladies of Laughter, the LOL shows tonight at Zany's on Wells. Starts at 8 o'clock, and you can go to zanys.com. If you happen to say, hey, you know what? I can make it over there. We'd love to have you. Some of the top women in comedy performing tonight, and I'm excited to be there. So I'm excited because sometimes I just have to put myself in a good mood considering all the conversations coming, whether it's here talking about Kyle Rittenhouse and the change. The big news this morning coming out of that courtroom, the breaking news was that the judge had decided that the charges of the weapon of a minor under 18, because of the length of the barrel stock, he didn't like the way the law was written. It was no longer a charge that he thought should be counted against Kyle Rittenhouse. So that caused a kerfuffle for everybody, and it was upsetting because I think that's one of the charges many of us felt, well, at least there's that, if nothing else happens. Because that's how cynical we've become when we have these conversations. We think, well, someone's not going to be held accountable. And I know there are people who really deep down in their hearts believe that he did the right thing. He was in the right place at the wrong time. If you were listening during Joan's show, she and Renato Mariotti, who is a former federal prosecutor, he was talking about the how frustrating it can be to watch these trials like this. And he mentioned how good it was that we have that camera in the courtroom so we can watch how this happens and what kind of judges are out there. And I thought it was interesting that he talked about how, look, judges are human beings too. And we get that. But we know that there are people who have different expertise, different set of knowledge. When here in the courtroom, you expect them to have to be unbiased, and yet we know that that's just simply not possible. If it were possible to be unbiased, we would not have a Supreme Court that votes the way it does, because they were all appointed by different political entities. You have a judge that is more liberal, you have Sotomayor, and you have all the judges that were appointed by liberals who vote a certain way, and all the judges that were voted, and most of them now have passed the abortion litmus test, are making Roe v. Wade vulnerable. And that was something that many of us have been ringing the alarm bell. I'm sure you have been ringing the alarm bell about how important elections are. It's not just at the top of the ticket. It's not just your mayor, your governor, your even if it's in your neighborhood and your alderperson. A lot of people are engaged at that level. But when we elect the people who are going to decide who our judges are, and we have a lot of local electeds who decide who's going to get the support of the party. Like tomorrow night, there are a couple of events going on in Chicago where the committee people will have slatings. They'll have these meetings where judges and any candidate that wants to run for office will give their speech and perhaps take questions and answers. And then that, whether it's the 41st Ward or the 50th Ward, the 39th Ward, wherever you live, I encourage you to go online and find out where they are having these events. None of this is happening, really without our knowledge. I mean, the decisions might be set up. There might, the deal might already be made behind closed doors before we get to those meetings. But if you want to know what's going on as far as how judges are appointed or elected, it's important to get involved at these local levels, because these committee people have a lot of power in their communities. The Democratic committeemen, decide who, or any committeeman, whoever is in in power, the position of power. Let's say, if a Democrat legislator decides to retire, step down, something happens to them, the Democratic committeemen for that district, then all of them have a meeting. They will make a call for anyone who is interested in being considered for the position. They come to the meetings, they present themselves, and then a vote is taken. And this is where it gets really complicated. A whole third, over 30% of our legislators in Springfield were appointed. And many of them can go on to run. But once you are appointed, you have the support of the party. You are anointed and appointed, and they then give you all the power that comes with that. And that's a lot of what goes on in these slatings too. If you have the support of the committee, then you are the one that is amplified. You are the one that gets the resources, whether that's manpower or money. And so when we see something like this judge you didn't think I was going to come back around to the Kyle Rittenhouse case, did you? She's gone off and started talking about committees, because people like this judge in the Kyle Rittenhouse case, these are deals that are made by the people in that community. They want a certain person in that position. And if we're not paying attention, this happens all over the country. And then you see how justice works for people. And this judge has decided he did not like the way the law was written. And it's hard. What I think makes a lot of us crazy is that it's like, we know what is just, and yes, we understand that the way laws are written can be interpreted, and a judge has a decision in these instances. But it's that slow drip sometimes of what we know to be unfair. It feels unfair too, and that has no weight in a courtroom, because a judge can make a decision based on the defense team has been fighting this battle, trying to get him to drop that charge. And this morning he decided to rule in their favor. And that can be very hard to watch. And the way this judge behaves himself, the way he yells, the way he misunderstands technology and social media was very frustrating for a lot of us. Yes, the 773 writes, committeeman is an unpaid but very powerful position, and that is true. And so it's important to pay attention. Yes, when you see a ballot that says committee person, I have to really kind of guess it. And I've done this where I just figure, all right, I like that name better, or I want a person of color, or I want a woman. And we're not really putting much stock or paying much attention into who our committee people are. So the way it works, and this is how it worked in our district, so that I have been a part of this process. I have presented myself to be considered for an appointment. And look, if I'd gotten the appointment, a lot of people say, how would you have done things differently? Well, you know what? We will never know. But there is a seat that is now open, and that is the seat, I believe it's 15th District State Representative John D'Amico's seat is now vacant. He announced his retirement last week, that not that he was not going to run again. His retirement became effective that day, and they will be holding a meeting next Tuesday, the 23rd, at the Irish American Heritage Center, and folks are invited to join the process. That meeting will be held online as well as in person, so if you're interested in that, you can find the information on Facebook. I'm now digging through my purse to find the information, because if you're listening to this show, chances are you're a nerd like me when it comes to the process. I love this stuff. I have always loved the process. Everything from voting day to knocking on doors, gathering signatures, going to meetings where you just hear judges present themselves for hours, because I want to know who these people are that are making the most important decisions in our lives. We have to be involved. So I encourage you to find these meetings in your community. Look, we see what the radicals are doing at school board meetings. How do we reinforce that? We participate, we show up, we are present for what is going on in our communities. And usually we only do it when we're angry about something, when something seems unjust. And this is not a sprint. Rage burns fast. It burns out and then it just smolders, and then you just have that rage. Can you find that space to just go, I need to show up. I need to start phone banking. I need to write letters for some of these elections and other places where we might have a chance at turning some seats blue. It means showing up at the school board meetings and being a supporter of the process of what decisions are made that are based on logic and truth. And I'm talking to everybody about that. I mean, that's, I know I have a lot of conservatives who hate listening to me, and welcome to the party, folks. But that's for everybody. Just show up to these meetings. Show up to your community meetings, whether you're Democrat or Republican. I don't know. The Libertarians might not. I haven't seen it. I don't know how my algorithm works. Someone's calling me to tell me something. Oh, you know what's funny? That's actually Committee Woman Maggie O'Keefe. I have to remind her that I have a show from 5 to 6, and someone's going to text her right now that, hey, you just called Patty while she was on the air. Maybe she's calling me to say thank you for mentioning how important the role of committee person is. Let's take a break here. Give me a call at 773-763-WCPT. That's 773-763-9278. And tell me about the organizations in your neighborhood. Have you had a chance to show up to some of their meetings? Have you gone to a slating for a judge, or are you curious about the process? I might have some answers, and if not, I can Google really fast. We're also live streaming on Facebook, so like our page so you can stay up to date on all of our events, our conversations. Sometimes we have giveaways, so you want to be on our Facebook page and our YouTube page as well. Subscribe to our page there so that you can find out when we go live. More in a moment on Driving It Home. I'm your host, Patti Vasquez.
A Better Life with Dr. Sanjay Gupta.
Is your son or daughter feeling scared about going out in public again? I'm Dr. Sanjay Gupta, CNN's chief medical correspondent. Our kids are coming out of a year of us telling them how important it was to stay away from other people so they didn't catch the coronavirus. So perhaps it's no surprise they need a little help learning how to socialize again. One psychiatrist we talked to encourages parents not to snap back into treating things as business as usual, because for kids, it's not business as usual. She suggests mentally preparing your child by talking about social activities in advance, maybe even taking them to the place they'll be going ahead of time before other people are there. Once you're in the moment, stay calm. If you show that you're scared of your child's feelings, they may find their feelings even scarier, maybe even more overwhelming. I'm Dr. Sanjay Gupta, helping you live a better life.
Why give your family just ordinary eggs when they can enjoy the best? Eggland's Best. The only eggs with more fresh and delicious taste, plus superior nutrition compared to ordinary eggs, with 6 times more vitamin D, 10 times more vitamin E, 25% less saturated fat, and 38% more lutein. Because the way you care is anything but ordinary. Only Eggland's Best. Better taste, better nutrition, better eggs.
Look, staying healthy isn't easy. Watching your diet, hitting the gym, avoiding stress. But But a good night's rest helps boost your overall health and wellness. And it couldn't be easier. The Sleep Number 360 Smart Bed effortlessly adjusts and responds to both of you. The result? You wake up ready for anything. Proven quality sleep is life-changing sleep. Don't miss our weekend special. Save $1,000 on the Sleep Number 360 Special Edition Smart Bed. Plus free premium delivery when you add a base. Ends Monday. To learn more, go to sleepnumber.com.
We know you're not quick with opinions beyond your tight circle of friends. But that's why people listen whenever you choose to weigh in. You've been a clear voice of reason.
Love how easily Chris Jones's song "We Need to Hear From You" fits in with this show. We have some of the fun, lighthearted, campy songs from Steve Goodie, some of the more irreverent songs from Steve Goodie, where you can go to stevegoodie.com for his music. And Chris Jones, who is a masterful musician, and his music is so wonderful. You can go to chrisjonesgrass.com for more of his music as well. I'm in an oddly good mood considering I've been exhausted for like the last week, and sometimes it's just a little bit of music, a little bit of music, a little bit of good music, some good food. I stopped at the Gale Street Inn over the weekend, and I saw my good friend George Karzis, and he was telling me about how things are going there. And somebody asked me about business owners on the Northwest Side and who would I recommend. And George Karzis at the Gale Street Inn has always been so invested in his neighbors and looking out for people. And really, during this pandemic, has done this the right way from the beginning, making sure that not just that we have access to some of the best ribs in the world, but making sure that his employees have everything they need. Because if you ever are following any servers in the city of Chicago talking about some of their horror stories, it's not easy work to make sure that people enjoy their dining experience. And I've done it. I was a server. I was a bartender. I did it for years, and it was the most. I would say the only thing I can compare it to for me was when the boys were toddlers. You just never, like, 1 minute they're cuddling and they love you, the next minute they're headbutting you and digging into their, the sandbox and spreading, all kinds of stuff all over the house, and sometimes they're angels. That's what it's like serving tables, because at any minute a customer can be an angel, and the next minute they're not headbutting you, but they're certainly making your life hard. And all the folks that work at the Gale Street Inn really do such a great job. And during this pandemic, they've made sure that we all enjoy some of the best food on the Northwest Side. I wanted to see what Dave had to say. Hey, Dave from Hoffman Estates. I bet you got some thoughts on this Rittenhouse case, don't you?
Yeah, I've had a couple. I've beaten to death already about him wearing the rubber gloves, the surgical rubber gloves. But that judge's last name is Schrader. Schroeder. Is he related to Ricky?
Yeah, well, Ricky Schroeder. My childhood crushes have not turned out well. I didn't have that big of a crush on Chachi, but I definitely liked Ricky Schroeder. I watched the show Silver Spoons, and he was so cute in The Champ. But no, it's gone around the bend. Yeah, well, maybe he also may have taught that kid to do a little acting up there, crying. Did a better job than Ricky's done as an actor. But yeah. The other day, about a day or two ago, I was watching one of them, I don't know, CNN or MSNBC. They had this guy, he was a former DA, whatever, from, I want to say it was like Waukesha County, whatever county that's in. And he said then already, before any of this judgment came down, he said that he wasn't going to get life. He didn't see him getting life. No, I don't think so either. But he said it could be possible. He said it wouldn't be out of the realm. He said that he could possibly see him getting maybe 60 years, for like a lesser degree of murder or whatever, if possible. But then again, you got, I think the prosecutor at first, too, they first thought that they had a slam dunk there for a minute, and then they added on a few things, like this prosecutor figured that's why they put on these extra charges, so they could get something, to stick to this guy and that. And that
prosecutor too. He's got to go 2 against 1. Where you got a judge that's biased with the defense. That doesn't help much either. But kind of lastly, so you can get to the other guys, if he does get off, say, a jaywalking charge or discharging a firearm or something, something really, really lame.
Right.
Is it possible for these survivors from the ones that were killed, and that they could do like in the OJ case and do a civil suit on him?
Oh, I would imagine.
They can't recharge him. They can't do a double jeopardy or whatever.
Right. Yeah. I would imagine that's in the works as well. I would.
I would hope so.
Yep.
Because this ain't right. Because I hate to hear what kind of tweeting and stuff we'll hear out of Trump if this guy, he'll be really crowing if he does get off.
Absolutely. Yeah. Oh my gosh. They'll be celebrating. It's not going to be pretty. Thank you so much, Dave.
All right. Be well, Patty.
You too. Take care. And as we were in the last segment talking about how important our committee people are in our communities and making decisions, and my phone rang, and it was our friend Maggie O'Keefe, committee woman for the 40th Ward. How are you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. I'll tell you. Let me give you the layout of what. So I was talking about tomorrow. There are at least two meetings. They call them slating meetings, and I was trying to explain it. Can you explain how important it is to be invested and involved, and the role that committee people play in our elections? I'm putting you on the spot, Maggie.
No, that's all right. I should get used to it by now. And talking about this stuff, it's so critical to have the support of the consensus of committee people because the consensus leads to the endorsement at large, right? So, say for the Secretary of State's race, for example, we're all going to convene on the 13th and 14th, but a lot of committee people of December, but a lot of committee people do their own slating processes. Like we just went through ours last weekend, and I have an endorsement recommendation subcommittee, and they got together and they are telling me who they think I should be endorsing at slating, right? So a lot of committee people do it in a variety of different ways, but ultimately the support of individual committee people build up to a hopeful consensus for a person running for office to then receive the endorsement of the Democratic Party.
And how I was explaining to folks that what comes with that is, that's that can be manpower, that helps you when you call for contributions to your campaign. You say, I've been endorsed by the 40th Ward, the Northwest Side Dems or whatever group that is. It helps build your credibility as you're building your campaign along the way, don't you think?
Oh, absolutely. And going into this election, because the election was pushed 2.5 months, it's going to be critical to have committee people and wards collecting signatures for you in the dead of winter.
Yeah.
So even though the amount of signatures has drastically reduced for the majority of candidates running for office, you still have to collect those signatures, and they have to be really quality signatures. It's going to really be about quality signatures, not quantity this time around, which could knock you off the ballot very easily if you don't have enough signatures.
I would like to say this. I will not be able to go door knocking for the 45th Ward Dems or the 38th Ward Dems, possibly the 39th and the 41st, but I will say this. On our own, between me and Jerry and a few other people, we collected over 2,500 signatures, and my husband went down to verify them, and he stopped at about 1,400. What I'm saying is, if you need any door knockers, I would like to volunteer for your organization.
Well, as long as you support the candidates we're supporting, you are
of course.
Always welcome.
Well, that would be my first. There's a reason why I'm not doing the 38th Ward and the 45th Ward.
There you go.
But that's the thing, is because I know the people. I have a history, so get in there. I'm not saying what you should or shouldn't do yourselves, folks. You can, you heard me talk about it, but sure. Get involved. And I think that's the best way to learn more about the process is door knocking too, right, Maggie?
Oh, absolutely. Door knocking is essential to campaign 101. So this past weekend, the 40th Ward Dems held a training, and we did our final door knocking. We had hundreds of doors knocked, literature left, and we had a bunch of candidates joining us as well that are running for the 2022 primary election, and that was their first time door knocking. So, it's critical to learn and understand what the community is looking for out of candidates, what the community is looking for from their elected officials or potential elected officials, and the best way to do it is going door to door, as you know.
Yeah. If anyone has ever thought, maybe I should run for office, or what's that like, this is the place to start. Your community organizations, gathering signatures for the candidates that you believe in. That's really what it's about to start. I think that's the best way to start, don't you think?
I do. I really do. And it really gives you the understanding, the deep level of understanding of your community at large. I mean,
yeah.
I never had to pay for a poll because I knocked 10,000 doors and I got my answer right there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Exactly.
So it's very helpful to truly understand what it is that your community is looking for out of the people that are looking to serve.
I just realized what you just said because, some of my signatures came from like farmers markets and things like that. But I would say a hit rate of ringing a doorbell or knocking on a door is less than 10%. So if we had 2,500, wow, I knocked on a lot of doors. I'm just saying, that's crazy.
Yes,
that was,
you did. Exactly.
That was just before November. That's crazy. Maggie, how can folks learn more about the 40th Ward Dems and how they can show up for some of those events, whether it's online or online, in person?
Absolutely. We actually have our upcoming fundraiser on Monday, December 6th at Gadabout Restaurant in Andersonville from 6 to 7:30. And you can learn all about what we're doing on the doors and otherwise at 40thwarddems.org.
40thwarddems.org. Next time you have a chance to come in studio, we'd love to have you back anytime.
Okay.
Thank you.
Good.
Thanks, Maggie. It's Committeewoman Maggie O'Keefe of the 40th Ward. Have a great evening. I'll talk to you. And I'll give you a call tomorrow, I promise. Or maybe tonight. We'll see.
Okay.
Take care.
Good. Bye.
Thank you. Bye. Let's take a break here. When we come back, we've got a wonderful guest coming up to tell us about an event coming up for an organization that is near and dear to my heart. As you know, I have a son who will need some help for the rest of his life, really. Don't we all, though? Actually, when you think about it, we are going to have the CEO, the executive director of Turning Point Autism, Carrie Provenzale, is going to join us and tell us how you can get involved and support the work they do. More in a moment on Driving It Home, and I'm your host, Patti Vasquez, WCPT 820.
Joan Esposito, live, local, and progressive on WCPT Willow Springs is powered by ComEd. Lower your energy bills and reduce your carbon footprint with the ComEd Energy Efficiency Program.
You're listening to WCPT 820. Here's the latest Chicago traffic update.
O'Hare-bound Blue Line trains are standing at Western with police activity. In Deerfield Road blocked off between Chestnut and Waukegan with a water main break. South to Sauble Lakeshore Drive, bumper to bumper from North Avenue down to Chicago Avenue. On the westbound 90, stop and go from Gulf to Route 53 with a crash in the right lane. Northbound side of the Tri-State suffering from Southwest Highway up to the Stevenson with a rolled over semi in the right lane. Eden's End from Lake Hook Road a half hour braking at Gulf. Kennedy out to the split. 43 minutes. 23, however, in the Express. 59 to O'Hare. Inbound at Mannheim, a crash off onto the shoulder. O'Hare back in, 58. 29 of that off the junction. Eisenhower outbound struggling out to 25th Avenue due to an earlier crash. Circled at 390, hour 16. That's traffic. I'm Mary DeBadges.
Discover matches all the cash back you earn on your credit card at the end of your first year. It's amazing because Discover is accepted at 99% of places in the U.S. that take credit cards. Learn more at Discover.
Diabetes, high blood pressure, anxiety meds, everyone's on them. If you're a 50-year-old male, maybe a bit porky, and you may even have type 2 diabetes, $1 million of term insurance may only cost you about $200 a month. Call Term Provider. Speak with Big Lou at 800-590-7516. Big Lou will find a term life policy for you even if you have type 2 diabetes, are overweight, or have high blood pressure. Term Providers help thousands of people like you who think they can't afford term life insurance. To buy $1 million of affordable term life for you, all you need to do is call Big Lou at 800-590-7516. Lou will make sure the scales are tipped in your favor. Call 800-590-7516. Big Lou will answer your call and work to fit you into a term life policy that you can afford. Remember, Big Lou's like you. He's on meds too. Call 800-590-7516. 800-590-7516.
You're listening to WCPT 820. because facts matter.
Full of hope, we make our way down this open road. All regrets are left back in the dust. I'm okay to take the wheel while you draw so near. A time to rediscover and to trust. We needed this ride, waited for so long. And I just want to make each second last. Your hand touching mine around the narrow curves. I'll do my best not to drive too fast. We needed this ride.
We do need this ride. Thank you so much for hanging out with us on Driving It Home with Patti Vasquez. And I'm excited. You're meeting our next guest along with me. She's the executive director for Turning Point Autism Foundation. Joining us is the executive director, Carrie Provenzale, who I believe I got it right that time. Is that right, Carrie?
Yes. Yeah, thanks.
After I asked you just now on hold, I repeated it a couple times, and it's probably going to fall out of my head, so I apologize ahead of time. But I am thrilled to meet you. Tell us first, before we talk about your event, about Turning Point Autism Foundation.
Yeah, so Turning Point is about 15 years old now. It's a nonprofit. We're located in Naperville, but we serve the broader Chicagoland area, and we have programs and pilots that are working with best practice interventions to help students who are learning with autism on improving their communication skills, their independence, and socially appropriate behaviors, along with those that are able to start developing some employment skills as well. And we have about 75 families annually in our program, and it's just amazing to watch these hardworking, amazing friends just develop and grow and learn.
And you continue to grow, develop, and learn in that way, too, because this is an ever-evolving. There's no one fit for a program for an individual who has some communication challenges, connection challenges with people. And, you know, so many people think of... I have a son who is profoundly disabled, and has... His treatments are very much based on the same for autism. He has what's called a corpus callosum disorder, which is actually the disorder that Kim Peeks had, which is what the movie Rain Man was based on. And so I'm a little familiar, and it's amazing to see how much you guys have grown. I know you just completed some classrooms and additions in the last couple of years, and you have a community that you continue to adapt for. Tell us about how we can support the work you're doing.
Yeah, thank you. And we do. We have to continue to learn,
yes.
Right? It's up to us. It's our responsibility to keep exploring the different best practices and the best way to help all of our students learn, because they're all learning differently, and the way they're interpreting the world is unique to each of them. So we do develop best practice. That's one of the things that sets us apart, and we've been growing not just because the number of students in need has grown, but because we wanted to change and evolve our programs to better meet the need in the community. So it has been very fast-paced, but as you know, 1 in 54 children are diagnosed with autism now. So the need is continuing to grow. We have over 50 students on our waiting list right now.
Wow.
So it's really important that people come out to support us so that we can continue to evolve and meet that need.
Do you? I mentioned that my son has a disorder that is, you can see it on a CAT scan. You know, that part of his some of his fibers are missing in his brain. Do you take children that maybe aren't necessarily diagnosed specifically with autism? And thank you, Bridget, my friend, who aren't necessarily diagnosed specifically medically with autism, but have autistic-like conditions.
So we really usually focus on autism because it is a spectrum disorder. So students that fall somewhere on that spectrum, we're going to want them to be in our program and refer other families to programs that might better fit their needs. So it really depends. Once a family identifies a need, we're pretty thorough in deciding if we would be the right placement for them based on the student's profile.
Right. Because I mean, there's a whole class of there are pervasive developmental disorders that perhaps people don't have a specific diagnosis that might, but they can reach out though, I would imagine.
Yes, and then if they can benefit, we would find a way to make that happen.
And what is the age range? Do you start after kids age out of early intervention and go through to the classic? And I guess
our classrooms right now serve 5 to about 35 in our different programs.
What? Oh, that's great.
It varies, and then the different programs. Some are pilots, so we're just developing them, and then some are much more established, like our 5 to 22. That's a therapeutic day school.
Right.
So that program is more established.
But I love that you're expanding it because there's a cliff that a lot of us walk right off. We see it looming ahead of us because school ends for my son at the age of 22. He's in a program where they have a really cool setup where they have like a living room and a kitchen and trying to teach daily life skills, and they have a little convenience store and stuff like that. So I imagine you also have programs like that.
We do, yes. That's exactly right. Those independent skills are just so important for when regular school stops and then adult life needs to begin. So we're working on those all the time with our students.
I love it. And you have this event coming up that folks should know about. How can they support you and possibly win a Lexus?
I know. We have Lexus of Naperville donated this beautiful infrared red Lexus LC 500 convertible. And you can go to turningpointautismfoundation.org and you can buy a raffle ticket. We're only going to sell 2,500, so it's very limited. And on December 3rd, we're going to draw at random a winner of that car. And it's beautiful. And we're really grateful for this fundraiser to help both fill budget holes that we have from COVID and events that got canceled and additional expenses, as well as continue to develop our programs and our spaces to better meet our kids' needs.
And it's really easy to, I'm on the site right now. If you go to turningpointautismfoundation.org, and that's Turning Point with an E, point, well, the point has an E, like Pointe, like Theatre.
Yes.
So turningpointautismfoundation.org, and you can look for there, or just Google Turning Point Autism Lexus Raffle, and right there you can see how much time you have left. There are 2 weeks, 3 days, 7 hours, 17 minutes, and 55 seconds. What, 50, 54, 53? How's that feel for you, Carrie? You're like, ah!
I know, right? We gotta go. That's very exciting.
It is very exciting. And so far they have sold 879 tickets, and their goal is to sell another 1,621. So I encourage folks, it's very easy. This is something when you do your taxes next year, you'll be like, oh, you know what? I'm so glad I donated that $100 to the Turning Point Autism Foundation. That's a good, regardless. And if you win it, I mean, your taxes will be different, but you have a cherry red Lexus. How cool is that? It's really beautiful.
Yeah, we really appreciate you spreading the word about this.
Of course.
To all your listeners, and we appreciate the community's support of what we're trying to do at Turning Point.
Of course. How did you get involved with Turning Point?
I've been involved with them really for 10 years. When I joined the team, we had, I think, just 5 students at the time.
Oh, wow.
So it's been really fun to watch it grow and watch our students make progress and meet so many amazing families. And, it'll be 10 years in January. It's been a lot of fun.
And I love the language you use, which is best practices. And I think for parents like me and my friend Bridget, we hear that and we kind of get an idea because there can be a lot of different opinions and thoughts and things that as we mentioned, you have to keep learning and saying, okay, this is what works. This is what, we have to figure out a little bit more. And when you're working with a wide range of ages from 5 to 35, the thing for parents, what we need support with is not giving up hope, right? You'll have one therapist that says, oh, they've plateaued, they're not going to learn anymore. And that kind of language doesn't help. Best practices means also embracing the family's experience, isn't it?
Yes. Thank you for saying that, Jay. That's exactly right. And it's so important. We just believe at Turning Point, if a student stops making progress, then we're doing the wrong intervention.
Thank you.
The team has to go back to work and figure out, well, did we miss something in that last assessment? Or let's look at this and run another analysis. It really is, that's what we think is our responsibility to our friends and family with autism. It's our responsibility to figure out how to help them be successful in this world that we've all created.
Yes.
And now demanding that they spend so much hard work and effort in therapy to adapt to our world. So, and best practice is a great thing to rely on, because if it isn't somewhere, there's not empirical data saying that this is going to work and it worked in a trial, we really don't even bother trying it.
Okay. Right. And
so that's kind of our mode of operations.
There's a book called Not Even Wrong that I read before. I think Declan was really little, but it really helped me a little bit, and we all need to find that solace somewhere, and also that perspective, because it is, this idea, when people ask me what's wrong with Declan, I tell them he's missing a part of his brain. How about yourself? Not always, but sometimes, because it starts with the wrong premise. What's wrong with him? It's that
right.
Nobody likes chaos, and they see someone like Declan, and to them it's chaotic, and they don't like it, and it's just uncomfortable. But he's happy. It's just that we have to make sure he's also safe, and
right.
Yes, and can reach his potential.
And it is the wrong premise. That is so well said, because then we're always missing what's great about Declan.
Yes,
it's his gift to the world, and our students are just wildly fascinating interests and skills and talents. And last year we were able to do a talent show even in the pandemic, because we want to showcase what they love to do and who they love to be, because that certainly brings us a lot of joy for our team.
Oh, I've got to remember to make sure I put the link to your. I'm going to put it on the Facebook live stream, and then I'll put it on my page as well. I want to remind folks, it's Turning Point, POINTE. It's autismfoundation.org, and the Lexus car raffle. And again, if you just Google Lexus car raffle Turning Point, you'll find it right away, and you can buy your ticket.
Right.
And are there any other ways that folks can support the work that you do in addition to this raffle?
Yes, it's they're billed up right now to Giving Tuesday. So people, if a $100 ticket price is too much, you can make a donation for Giving Tuesday. And that's right on our website as well. If you're interested in volunteering, we have Service Saturday, and you can sign up under the volunteer page on our website as well.
Oh, wonderful.
And if everybody would just even share, the more people that know about the raffle, the greater the chance that we're going to have a big success and get to continue our mission.
And sell out these tickets.
Yeah.
And for folks who are curious about, you mentioned that there's a waiting list about 50 deep, but better to find out if this is something that's right for you, and try to be in the mix. Do you serve only the Naperville area, or is that people come from all over for Turning Point?
It is the broader, like about an hour from Naperville, I would say. So we've had a couple families from farther. It really depends, again, on the student, too.
Right.
And whether or not they can travel. Right now, because of COVID, that wait list has been around for a little while. We're not able to intake as fast as we would have liked, which is, a heartbreaker. That's another reality that we keep dealing with, just in terms of everybody's safety and all the protocols and all the right staff in the right place. So, but absolutely, there's a slider right after the Lexus, I believe, that talks about on our website if Turning Point might be the right program for you.
And I want to tell folks who are hearing this and maybe just starting on this path of trying to find the right things for their children or family member, someone that they know, please know this, that when someone says there's a waiting list or we can't take you for 9 months, I've been told those things. I remember especially when Declan was very young. Please know this. Please know this. You are doing all the right things. There is no one way to help your child. And there are so many things out there. If you need to message me to find more resources, please do. And you can reach out to our friends at Turning Point Autism to see if that's something that you do need to invest your time and resources in. But I thank you so much, Carrie, for the commitment you have to our community, to families like mine. And I wish you all the very best and invite you to let me know anything that's coming up. I would love to help you out and amplify that message.
That would be great. Patty, thanks so much. And my love to Declan. Thanks for all you do.
Thank you. My love to all the wonderful families that you serve. Have a great evening, Carrie. Take care.
You too, Patty. Take care. Bye.
That's Carrie Provenzale, the Executive Director of Turning Point Autism. Go to turningpointautismfoundation.org. We'll be right back after this. Jim, I will take your call as soon as we come back from this break.
This is John Daniel, President and Business Manager of the Sheet Metal Workers of Smart Local 265. The principles that guide me are rooted in the simple belief that united we stand and divided we fall. We the people must recognize that a diverse environment with unique points of view is the foundation for success. A culture where labor and management work together inspires innovation, promotes inclusion, creates a sustainable growth for business, the workforce, and our communities. When the entrepreneur's vision is developed and improved with the voice of a unionized workforce, you build more than just a product, you build a stronger future. I want to personally thank everyone who voted for President Biden. He believes in unions. Blue Collar Biden signed the American Rescue Act of 2021, which secures vested pension benefits. It funds improvements of indoor air quality in K-12 schools and provides additional Paycheck Protection Program loans to support small businesses. This is John Daniel from Smart Local 265. Join me in celebrating a return to sanity and a sustainable middle class. Stay union strong.
Dell Technologies' biggest business sale of the year has arrived. Step up your vision with top tech up to 50% off during their Black Friday event. Dell Technologies recommends Windows 11 Pro for business. Plus, get incredible savings on Windows 11 PCs, along with servers, monitors, and docks, all with free shipping. There's also special financing with Dell Business Credit. Get started by contacting your Dell Technologies advisor today at 877-ASK-DELL. That's 877-ASK-DELL.
This is Joan Esposito, and here at WCPT, we love pets. So much that we're spotlighting an adoptable, adorable dog or cat every month. So many deserving pets are waiting for their forever home. We've partnered with community shelters and our sponsors, Love for Dogs Pet Grooming and Mark Drugs, to talk about why rescue is best. It's all on Joan Esposito Live, Local and Progressive. See our current adoptable at WCPT820.com.
1, 2, 3, 4. Delta spawn. Damn, we thought this crap was gone. Could it be we're heading back to quarantine? Now the governors of red states have gone and outlawed mask mandates. Seems to me the GOP wants us to die, including kids. I'm sure glad I got my full vaccine. Get vaccinated, you dummies.
Actually, the city of Chicago has finally cracked 60% vaccinated. Hopefully, we continue to move in that direction. However, COVID rates have gone up by 25%. It's a low number, but it's increased by 25% of positive cases. I just want to say, get vaccinated as we head into the holidays. Jim has been on hold for a while, and I appreciate your patience. Jim, what's on your mind, my friend?
Hi, Carrie. Thanks for taking my call. I'm just absolutely stunned by all this, this case with this bacon kid in Kenosha. What gets me is it seems like an arm race. I think the Supreme Court's going to take up stand your ground law. Everybody's going to be armed. I know the ammunition. The manufacturers of guns must be just delighted with this case.
Sure.
And you have a president who refers to shooting somebody. He's another violent character, promoting violence at the White House. The thing that kills me, I was at the 68 convention down at the Hilton. Probably, I don't know how many thousands of people were down there. Nobody was shot. I think somebody got hit with a brick. One of the guys got hit with a brick. I've been at the Revolutionary Council Convention in Washington, D.C. with the Black Panther Party. We're against the war. Nobody was shot. Nobody carried a machine gun. But it's like an arms race. I mean,
yes. Because
these demonstrations, you can't go to a demonstration. Who wants to demonstrate if there's people lurking with machine guns in the crowd?
Well, and can then other people say, do those who want to wave their guns around and think that Kyle Rittenhouse did the right thing and he was afraid for his life, what determines when someone is afraid for their life? Then can anybody say, well, I was scared, so I shot them? I get it. We have this video, and one of the witnesses, unfortunately, I know that Renato Mariotti mentioned this earlier, that when that one of the wounded said that he did wave his gun. That's hard to overcome in this case. But what determines if someone just says, I was afraid for my life, then can't we all just say we're afraid for our lives? We're standing our ground. We want to protect an empty car lot. I don't know.
That's a logical conclusion. I mean, in other words, we'd all be our own judge and jury, because I'd say, well, my God, I was terribly frightened of that person, so I pulled out my machine gun and riddled them with bullets because I was afraid of the person. I mean, we have to. Violence is just ridiculous. I just can't understand why people need guns. I think you got to screw loose if you need a gun to begin with. That's just my opinion. I can't stand guns. I've never seen a good result with a gun in my life. So this case, I know the Republicans are pulling for him on every station. They're pulling for Cal to get off. But to me, it's just absurd. It's an absurd case. His mother drags him up there with a machine gun in his lap. I mean, it's just, I don't know what we've come to. I just hope that he gets something, but vigilantism has got to be stamped out.
Yeah.
Anyway, thanks for taking my call.
Of course. Have a great evening, Jim. Good to hear from you. I also think that when we do protest, I went to the protest in response to Texas's decisions regarding women's reproductive health, and I have to say I am more nervous now. If people like Kyle Rittenhouse are going to go into a situation and ultimately help escalate it, someone waving a gun is going to escalate somebody else who maybe has a gun or wants to get involved. When we're out there protesting things that are important to us, whether it's again women's reproductive rights or statues that we think it's time for them to come down. We cannot show up with canned foods and frozen water bottles and attack the police and not think that it's going to have a bad outcome. Peaceful protesting is important. Destroying property is not what we are about. And a lot of times in those protests for George Floyd's murder, this is something that's gotten lost, is that they were white supremacists who were breaking the windows in order to escalate that. Remember the guy with the hoodie and the mask, and he was smashing windows with a hammer or a baseball bat, and that doesn't get any light of day. Hey, Roosevelt, how are you doing today? Hey, Roosevelt. Hey, I was like in the middle of thought. You're like, oh, me, it's my turn. Hi.
Thank you for taking my call. I'm sorry, I interrupted you.
That's okay. Hi.
Hi, how you doing? Okay, so let me get this straight. So the African-American kid that had the water gun, he didn't get the benefit of the doubt because the cop was afraid for his life. Notice, it's the same words that they're using in this instance, too. And what about the other kid on 26th Street that the cop was afraid of his life? So then he shot that kid, So where was the cop or cops that were afraid for their lives when this guy had a powerful weapon, a weapon out on plain night? I mean,
he walked right by them. Yeah.
So how I don't understand that. I mean, I do understand it. I know what it's all about. But what I'm saying is that, you see, there's two kinds of law, depending on the color of your skin. And I know I've said this before on this station, and it's a fact. So, and he's going to walk. In my opinion, he's going to walk. And this is going to leave the door open for other people that are older that'll try to get away with it too. And here's the thing. What about the laws? Always when there's all these illegals are coming, don't they understand the laws? Where's the law in this instance? When the kid has a gun, he has no permit for it.
Right. Yeah.
And then he's a minor.
I know. Well, that's the thing. You bring up another point, the emboldening, right? If this, where does it stop, and does it embolden other people to do the same thing?
It's going to give other knuckleheads that are not too stable in the mind to do the same thing that this guy's doing. And who knows? Did anybody psychoanalyze this kid? Is he okay?
I was wondering about that today, too. I was wondering if they've had any sort of a psychological evaluation.
And one more thing, Patty, if you don't mind, and I know I take up a lot of time, and I'm sorry, I apologize to everybody. But here's my thing. What made him take that particular arm, that particular weapon? What was the event? Black Lives Matter. And how can the judge refer to the victims, to say you shouldn't refer to them as victims, but pile up on them and say that they're arsonists and
rioters? Yes.
Yeah, rioters. How does he know that?
Right.
He's passing judgment. That judge is passing judgment on the people that died and the people that got wounded. So
It is. It's frustrating. It's enraging. Well, we'll see what happens. Roosevelt, always great to hear from you. Thank you so much. I've got to. Well, first of all, I got to thank Lady B for everything and everybody here at WCPT. And I have to make sure, because I was about to forget. Happy birthday, Jerry We hope he's listening. We have to record that and send it to him and say, happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Jerry. Happy birthday to you. I hate singing in public. That's how much you know. I adore Jerry. Have a great rest of your evening, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us. We'll be back tomorrow. Don't forget, 5 to 6. And, of course, we got Santita Jackson in the morning, Stephanie Miller, Tom Hartman, Jonas Esposito, then me, Rick Unger's up next. And enjoy your evening. Oh, I hope it's not too icy. I'll see you at Zany's. Hope you're all there at 8 o'clock tonight. Bye.
Tom Hartman.
It sure looks to me like this was a naked attempt to end democracy in America. And if one of these neo-fascists gets into the White House in 2024, I don't even think it's a question if they'll try to repeat this. I think it's a given.
The Tom Hartman Radio Program, weekdays 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. on WCPT 820, where facts matter.
That's a no-whip, high-foam, 170-degree, sugar-free gingerbread latte.
Ah, yes. It's gingerbread latte season at Duchesne's Coffee Shop.
Gingerbread on the side.
You'll need a seasonal barista